change in the importance of persuasive power, professional reputation, and public prestige. According to Professor Neustadt, presidential power is best symbolized as the attribute or characteristic of the mid-century presidency that began with the John F. Kennedy administration and ended quite favorably in the George H.W. Bush administration. The characteristics of presidential power is best described as the president who demonstrated weakness, not in the negative sense, but in the positive, because of two reasons. First, the space of expectations required, and second, the ability to execute it by a president. Professor Neustadt affirms that the president's expectations while in office will rise and fall. His ability to maintain and sustain those expectations will ebb and flow over time because of domestic and international politics. Presidents acting and performing in this environment requires formal constitutional powers and authorities, and two, actual powers or personal effectiveness. Mind you, these powers and authorities are shared and constrained by the Article 1 members. We must not forget that to be effective, a president requires the additional instruments of reputation and prestige in order to meet and sustain expectations, especially during their first 2 years of their presidency. With these powers, a president may have the personal skill sets, rather must have these skill sets to achieve the maximum expectations with minimum constraints. Presidents' use of power must be used in the framework of being prospective and achieving stated public policies, domestically and internationally. When roadblocks are encountered in the presidential powers environment, the result is weakness, especially at the hands of the United States Congress, because one party controlling either House or Senate will create unintentional outcomes for the agenda of the president. As an extension, the aides and principals must remind themselves of their own roles within this dynamic environment of presidential powers and their own realities. The president has his or her role to perform in their own limited sphere, even though they are the most powerful person of the liberal world order, especially in the West. To contrast, the weaknesses of presidential power are driven by constraints of our Madisonian system. There is the emergence of the administrative presidency that is dictated through the president's own enhancements of executive orders, their veto powers, and signing statements. The emergence of this new form of governance has placed the executive branch in every aspect of the American way of life, more than ever, especially on the domestic side of the agenda. This governance did allow and do allow many more opportunities for met expectations, especially when the president's own party becomes the minority. To sum the picture, presidential powers require the skill or skills to effectively bargain and a weakened state. The administrative presidency requires the skill to be a daring and effective individual. This new change at the times have either enhanced or diminished the importance of persuasive powers, professional reputations, and the public prestige of each of the administrations of George W. Bush, Barack H. Obama, and now Donald J. Trump. The player in the game of chess who loses the queen, the player still has two rooks remaining on the board that can be used effectively to meet the stated objective, which is to checkmate the opposing king. Admiral McCarthy and my peers, thank you for your patience and long suffering in the creation of this presentation. Have a good night.